football fever takes over India with Indian Super League's second leg, Talking Point decided to get a feel of it with a very special guest. Today we have with us the dynamic CEO of FC Pune City, Mr. Gaurav Modwel. Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you.
Please tell me, what is it like to run a football team?
When you run a club, it's different because the results are immediate and the adrenaline rush that you have is very, very high. And interesting part is that I've been involved in setting it up right from the scratch. So like any greenfield venture, like any startup, it has an additional fun of creating everything from scratch. So yeah, very exciting.
From last season to this season, there have been changes in the lineup, in the players, in the team, as well as in the staff members as well. So how do you handle that? The new faces, and then to build the same bond with them.
Oh, this is going to happen in ISL all the time because we are still a short league. We are for 4 months. So you don't get players really for a long term, for a 3-year, 4-year contract, except for some of the Indian players. So when this happens every year, you will have to build in nearly a new team. Especially when you don't do well as what we didn't do well last year, it was imperative that we will go ahead with a lot of changes. But it's exciting because you get a very limited period and it's a cross-cultural team. So bringing everyone together and getting very short period, including the coaches, staff, the players, and then building them into one team is really exciting. And football, unlike cricket, is not an individual sport. As in cricket, you can get different bowlers and different wicket keepers and it's okay on the pitch. You don't need that kind of a camaraderie. But in football, it's completely dependent on how well they gel as a team. So it's exciting.
Do you think that ISL as a franchise would do so much better if it was, twice a year maybe? Is there any possibility?
Oh no, not twice a year. What should happen really is that ISL as a league should become a longer league for it to be commercially more sustainable, as well as for it to become the premier league of the country. So what we are seeing is really a transformation in the football structure of the country. So there's an existing I-League which didn't get eyeballs and it was not doing as well, and the product was not as good. It was not bringing in crowds to see it. And you have I-League and ISL, which is a short 4-month tournament, but it's not considered to be the country's FIFA recognized tournament. So somewhere we have to merge the two, take the best from both the leagues and form one single league. It's in the air, everyone is talking about it, but I feel rather than letting it evolve, we should really engineer it, design it. Everyone should come together and go for the merger.
What challenges do you think in getting it designed?
If you go for merger, there are some major challenges. For example, if you have to become a FIFA approved AFC approved league, which is the Asian Federation approved league, you can't have 11 foreign players playing for you. So there's a limitation on the number of foreign players that you can play, which would take away from the quality of football that we see. So we could probably demand a specific period in which we will reduce the number of players down to 4 or 5 and something like that. So that's one challenge. Second is, ISL is a city-based franchise. So you have city-based clubs, whereas I-League there are multiple clubs from the same city. For example, there are 3 clubs from Goa, there are 2 clubs from Calcutta. So how do you integrate the two? And for sure, you can't have a situation where East Bengal or Mohun Bagan, which are legendary clubs, they have been synonymous with Indian football. You can't take that away. So how do you integrate them into an ISL format? These are the challenges. But I'm sure if everyone sits together, there will be some way forward.
From a business perspective, as well as a sport, do you think it will benefit, is it worth it for both the leagues?
Yes, any day. It should. It has to. It has to. The 2 leagues separately can't coexist for too long. So it's a transition. It's like what you say, Manthan. So something good will come out of it. It's the churning which is going on.
I would like to know, as a CEO, what are your prime responsibilities when the league is running? What do you have to take care of?
Winning, the most important. It's not in my hands, it's the technical team which does it. Our role is to enable the technical team to perform. One is to hire the right people every season, and then is to create the enabling conditions for them to really perform well. This is how we could possibly contribute to the technical side. But winning is so central and it's so important because Pune is a new city to football. It's not like a Calcutta, Goa, Kerala or Northeast. it is, but it's a young city, it's youth here, and hence there's a latent demand for football. So we need to create the passion for football here. And that would only happen when you perform well, when you start winning. Unfortunately for Pune, whichever sport you see, whether it's badminton, whether it's kabaddi, whether it's cricket, Pune has been always last, in all the leagues, and hence it has killed somewhere, I feel, the enthusiasm of the youth in supporting a sport. So every time you come out, supporting your club, and then it doesn't do well. So it has happened many times over, and I feel it's our responsibility now towards the city to perform well. So I think winning is central.
Speaking of passion, how passionate are you about sports? And tell us how sports happened to you as a business.
I was an avid sports lover. I played sports, but not at any professional level. It was during my, education, college days, school days. So I played a number of sports as I grew up. So, and I am an avid sports watcher. But over a period of time, you get involved with your jobs and you're in the corporate life and you keep doing the regular stuff, and somewhere it goes at the back of your head. You stop playing. The time that you devote to sports starts reducing as the corporate responsibilities increase. But, the first time sports came back as possibly an option or a career or a business option was when we decided to run a cricket club in Sri Lankan Premier League. It's called the SLPL, and we again bid and got the club from the same group a few years back called Vayamba United. And again, since I was always involved in the startups, I got the responsibility of setting it up from scratch. So we created a team. We had Mahila Jayawardene as the captain, and Mohammad Hafiz and from Pakistan, and a lot of international players. It ran only for 1 year, and that was the first time that I got a little bit of sense of sports. Again, it got over, and I was busy with hotels and restaurants and retail and many other businesses which I used to run. And then while interacting with the youth, which was an important target audience, because I was running a brand called Ed Hardy, it's a very youth brand, and I used to interact a lot with youth. And I figured out that there is a huge undercurrent, and people are watching, lapping up EPL and La Liga and Bundesliga in such a big way, especially EPL. And I started thinking, like, can we do something there? And it started coming to my mind that in next 10 years' time, this is possibly going to be a new area which will develop and probably become as big as cricket in 15 years' time from now. So before even this league came about, I started a company on my own which is called India on Track. And India on Track went ahead and did a tie-up with Arsenal Football Club and Arsenal Soccer School, brought Arsenal Soccer Schools to India. And then 6-8 months later, the bidding happened for ISL. And then, since I was part of the group and startups, got a chance to create it from scratch.
Was it like a risky decision to go into football, not cricket, in India? Because weren't you worried that will people really watch Indian players?
Something which is more business-wise, something which is more secured, is also something which is more expensive. So, if you go and try buying a cricket club, it costs you 5 times, 8 times, or 10 times more of buying a football club, right? Or you buy a sponsorship, like we are sponsors to our group, is sponsors to Mumbai Indians. So we have been doing it for good 4-5 years now. We have 2 brands which sponsor Mumbai Indians. Now, when you sponsor cricket, it's also expensive, right? You get more viewership, you get more eyeballs, but it's expensive. The initial thought that it will just go, won't do well at all, that fear is now put to rest. So for sure, football is going to stay here. ISL is going to stay here. It's getting 432 million views last year. The stadia fills was 4th highest in the world. So after EPL, La Liga and Bundesliga, it's the most highly watched in stadia presence. And given the fact that Pune has only a stadium capacity of 9,000, still is 26,000 for all India is the stadia fill. It's higher than Serie A, like the Italian league. So obviously there's something right happening for football, but it's too early to say whether the investment will really bear fruits. I guess it's going to take another 10 years to play out.
What do you think of the Balewadi Stadium? What's your opinion on it?
It's a nice, small, neat little stadium. For now, it's good because the capacity is good enough. Because Pune is not really a Goa or Calcutta, so it's not like 40,000 people thronging onto the stadium. But the only thing is, it's far off from the city, and Pune sees that as a distance. Probably this is not seen as a distance in Mumbai, but it's seen as a distance in Pune to come all the way to Balewadi. So this year, what we have done is, we can't build a new stadium for sure. It's not commercially viable at all. So what we are doing, we are taking small measures, like we have put about 35 buses, including about 15 the PMT buses, the municipal transport buses. So we have put those buses for ferrying people up and down from the stadium so that it's easier for fans to come and watch.
Has there been any growth from last year in terms of the ticketing revenues?
Ticketing revenues will go up. It's a very small number, but ticketing revenues, I expect about 40 to 50% jump this year. So will be the case with sponsorship as well. Last year we did all the brands were internal brands, the group brands. This is the first time we have moved out. 2 brands still remain internal.
With the Wadhawan groups.
With the Wadhawan group. The rest of the brands we have gone ahead, but we clearly see the jump might be even higher than 50.
Which sponsors are on board with you?
We have Fair and Handsome, Imami, which is on the front. We have DHFL, which is our own internal company, the flagship company, which is on the back. And we have Season Small, which is from Pune, and Microman, which are on the sleeves. And then we have another internal brand called Avance. It's an education loan company, which is on the neck here.
Okay.
We have Adidas as the kitting partner with us. And on our shorts is HRX, which is a Hritthik Roshan brand.
Speaking of Hritthik, actually, how is it like to have him as a co-owner of the franchisee? Like, how involved is he in the decision making of the group?
He's not a technical guy, so obviously he's not really involved, but he is very involved from the point of view of a couple of things. Like, he was a part of the auction process. So he came up and while we were selecting players and we were picking up players, he was part of the sitting with the coach and the technical team and all of us.
Having him on board, how does it affect the brand?
If you look at it, some of the brands and the fans both get excited when Hritthik is around. He's one of the biggest stars in the country, even on the social media. And it brings us fans, it brings people to the stadium. Especially in a place where the sport is not big enough, cricketers and Bollywood celebrities give that additional impetus to people to come and watch it, sample it for the first time. And when they come and see the experience and really like it, then not only they come again, but the word of mouth spreads and other people start coming. So he's a catalyst in that sense. Because when he comes, people probably come to see him and then enjoy the experience and then start coming again.
Apart from word of mouth promotions and spreading the fun around, what other marketing and promotion activities are you guys carrying out?
Starting with, we created Orange Army, which is now one of the most militant fan clubs in the country. Though we might not have a very large fan army, it's limited, but their concern and the way we work together, it's amazing. Whether it's the team coming and they're welcome or the auction, and every step of it they are with us and they create that frenzy. Orange Army is one. We became the first club to open a retail store, an official merchandise store where you can go and buy tickets and merchandise in the heart of the city in Ferguson College Road. So no club has
so far done that.
Yeah. Then we have done many fan meets. We do a program called My City, My Club, My City, which is about everyone from the city takes pride in being a Punekar, and the corporates then support by buying bulk tickets, sending their employees out to them, and they say, this is my city and this is my club. So it's a partnership program that we are running. So many such initiatives we are taking throughout the year. You
are a sports enthusiast. You said you're passionate about sport and as well as a businessman. Sometimes do you have to take decisions which overrides the other? A businessman would think analytically, rationally, and a sports fanatic would be like, yeah, let's spend all the money into this one thing.
Oh no.
How does that come about?
You never. I mean, once you have run businesses, you will never go crazy. So the way the club management works, at the beginning of the year, you sit with stakeholders and very clearly spell out your goals for the year. and your budgets for the year. So that's laid down as step one. It is true for all the clubs, because if you are not spending a lot, you are not really going to be a serious contender for the title. But you might decide, I will spend on players but not on marketing, or I will spend on marketing and not on. So you decide what is your objective, and thereafter, once you decide an objective, you decide your budgets accordingly. Once that is done, you design your strategies, and it's like any other business. So you don't cross the lines. Once you have drawn the lines, you have to stick to the line.
What is FC Pune City's objective for this season?
We want to win.
So it's all on players.
I've been saying, I don't really know the weight of the trophy. I want to know how heavy it is.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a lovely chat. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure talking.
Yeah. So that was Gaurav Modwel, and he's really confident that FC Pune City is gonna win this season. Well, that is something we'll have to watch out for. Tune in next week again for more Talking Point.